Welcome to this Times Techies webinar. I'm Sujit John, and I have with me my colleague Akhil George. The two of us will moderate this discussion that we are having in partnership with Fortinet, the global security company. Today, we are going to discuss the power of AI in cybersecurity. AI has become a double-edged sword for cybersecurity. On the one hand, it has lowered the barrier to entry into cybercrime, enabling would-be criminals to generate malware even when they lack programming skills. Malicious events can happen in seconds, leaving little or no time for human intervention to make a true impact. On the other hand, AI is also a great tool for those who are defending IT systems. As this arms race between cyber criminals and cybersecurity professionals continue to escalate, we are going to discuss how AI can tilt the balance in favor of defenders by simplifying threat detection and response, speeding up security alert investigation, ingesting events from across hybrid environments, and alleviating alert fatigue. And for that, we have with us distinguished cybersecurity practitioners. We have with us Prasad T. Prasad is Vice President of Security and Compliance at Tanla Platforms. Tanla is a leading provider of cloud communication solutions. They offer innovative AI-driven solutions for secure omni-channel communications. Prasad has a rich background in IT innovation and cybersecurity. Prior to Tanla, he has held significant roles at Verse, InstaSafe, Wipro, NetApp, and VMware. Welcome, Prasad.
Thank you.
We have Shwetank Verma. Shwetank is Global Head of Technology, Infrastructure, and Information Security at Sagility. Sagility is a technology-enabled healthcare-focused solutions and services provider. Shwetank has over 2 decades of experience in digitizing workplaces, mergers and acquisitions, and operations management. Prior to Sagility, he spent 19 years at Goldman Sachs, including as Head of Digital Workplace Engineering for India. Welcome, Shwetank.
Thank you, Sujit.
And we have Raj Upadhyay. Raj is Vice President of IT at Genpact. He has 22 years of experience supporting executive level management and is proficient across IT infrastructure operations, service delivery, program management, large-scale network and telecom operations, vendor management, compliance, and regulatory. Raj has also worked at United Health Group and HCL Technologies. Welcome, Raj.
Good.
And we have Vivek Srivastava. Vivek is Country Manager for India and SAARC at Fortinet. He is a technology and cybersecurity business leader with 24 years of experience in sales, business management, and strategy. He has successfully led startups and small cybersecurity businesses to multi-million-dollar growth. Prior to Fortinet, Vivek was with CrowdStrike, Cisco, and IBM. Welcome, Vivek.
Thank you so much, Akhil. Very happy to be here.
Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the Facebook comment box. Sujit and I will put them to Raj, Shwetank, Prasad, and Vivek. So why don't we just jump in? This first question is for both Vivek and Raj. To begin with, how are AI solutions helping security teams improve speed, accuracy, and productivity in detecting and remediating threats? Vivek, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. What I'll do is probably on AI uses in cybersecurity, I'll give you 2 views, the way we look at it. One, being a responsible cybersecurity vendor, how we are leveraging it to make the solutions a lot more, effective for our customers, and then how we build technology so that the AI can be leveraged by our customers as well, in cybersecurity space to fight these cyber threats. The first and foremost piece that I'll talk about is the way we leverage AI a lot in solving 2 problems. One is building a scale for detection, and second is solving the time constraint problem. I'll give you an example. Close to about 10, 12 years back, most of the malicious samples that used to come used to go through manual analysis. That used to take a lot of time, and it was a scale problem because a lot of samples were coming in. And that's when we built our first artificial neural network, only to analyze these samples which were coming there. And today, I think the engine is in 6th generation. We call it FortiAI. And today we leverage this engine to analyze millions and millions of samples in sub-second timelines. and almost to near perfect accuracy. So that way, what we are able to do is we are able to build a threat intel for our solutions and for our customers, which is very precise, built on AI. So we solve the detection problem on the scale side also, as well as on the time side as well. The second piece that we see how AI is being leveraged is, building some level of predictability into the attacks. I think the AI and ML models are pretty good at, building relationships. And that's what we are leveraging, when we look at different attackers, how they perform, what their typical modus operandi are. When you look at all of these analytics and data points, you are very simply able to build a model wherein, based on the steps taken in the attack, you are able to predict the next steps. You're able to predict what's going to happen next. So during the attack phase, that functionality of AI comes very handy to detect those attacks and what could be the next steps, and then you take the countermeasures as well. The third piece where we see AI being leveraged and how we build that into our solution is from the security operations side. I think most of us all understand that there are two challenges that our cybersecurity practitioners are facing. One, we typically call it as alert fatigue. There are so many alerts coming into their environment that's very difficult, for them to go through all of it. You can't have enough manpower always, and when you have manpower, it's also very difficult to have the same level of a skill set, which can actually go into analyzing all of these logs or alerts that you're getting. So what we have done, we've also invested into building an analyst module into security operations that can actually take away the pain of that mundane activity of analyzing these tons and tons of logs and events, and quickly come down to a point which are actually the alerts which need quick attention. So we take away that problem of alert fatigue, and we solve to a large extent the problem of skill set also, which are required from operations perspective. So in a way, you're able to not only help the teams save a lot of time, but also build in more productivity, more efficiency in the entire environment from operations standpoint. So this is how I look at AI uses, the way Fortinet leverages it, Akhil.
Raj, you want to add to the three major uses that Vivek pointed out?
Yeah, I think I'm not going to talk about differently, but I think on a similar note, I'll try to add a few more flavors. So, I mean, if you really talk about in today's world, the technology is changing very fast. Okay, whatever is best today, maybe tomorrow it might be average. Okay, and the way the technology world, we are introducing day by day, we are trying to eliminate the intervention of human. Okay, and I would say there is a race going on between technology and humans. So if you're really trying to complement that pace, and if you really want to deliver that thing, then one point of time, you have to have a very competitive infrastructure, which can really meet those requirements, or whatever the sophisticated infrastructure which is getting built, on top of it, AI and all other things, really how we can go ahead and complement it. So if you really talk about, in an overall scenario, you have a very little time to act. And Vivek very rightly said, like, it's something, those days have gone where, these security operations people, there was an alert, someone is monitoring it manually. And then after that, ticket is getting created. Then after that, there is a remediation plan. And then a couple of hours or minutes are going to take to act upon on that. But if you really talk about in today's scenario, I mean, even neither you have that much time, nor you should be waiting till that time. It's a very simple thing. If there is an event, then you have to go back and take action immediately, mitigate it, and resolve it. Or that action could be manual or auto. So if you really try to match these two era, then obviously you have to be dependent heavily on a technology like Gen AI, where you can go back and have a predictive analysis. And I think in real world, if you really talk about the majority of the organizations, specifically into the banking segment, they are using it very effectively. And that's how basically we are going ahead and preventing the many threats. There is a high probability, like, one of the bank consumer, if that person is doing two different type of transactions, which is something suspicious, and same time, if that person is applying a personal loan, there could be high probability that person might be, in a mode of doing a fraud with the bank, and that's how you can go ahead and detect it. So in a nutshell, the Gen AI is really helping in various ways in order to stop such kind of things being IT or any other segment, and that's how basically really shaping up well. And as a from overall organization perspective, I think that's going to be the true value add, whatever the shape or form you're trying to fight in this battle.
Things are really moving very fast. Attackers, of course, have a lot more now in their arsenal. So, I mean, Vivek and Raj both saying AI has the potential to, I mean, take care of a lot of these things, detect threats faster, close gaps, respond to threats without human intervention. So, Shwetank and Prasad, tell us, I mean, what areas of cybersecurity would you like to automate, and where do you think we still need human intervention?
Okay, so just taking from the step that Vivek and Raj touched upon, the speed itself, right? So the challenge what we are facing today is the speed is not only helping the defenders, it is also helping the hackers, right? So that is a major problem as well. So we need to detect the same speed as well in the same speed of the hackers, because they are also started identifying your vulnerability, the one that you have in a million, in a very quick speed. So to respond to that, again, you have to be fast enough. You have to have automation with you. You have to have the AI kind of technologies with you. And it's a cat and mouse game. So you need AI and automation for threat intelligence. You need it for identifying the threats. You need it for responding to the threats that you have in place. You need the user behavior analysis in a different level. The another challenge here would be the way we look at AI today is not the way we looked at AI 5 years back, right? If we maybe the chat GPT have changed it, but if you again look ahead after 5 years, we are not able to predict it. So it's very important to evolve along with the market. I heard Vivek saying Fortinet's evolution on the security products. They have 50 plus products from Fortinet, and they ventured into this. I'm pretty happy about it. Looking forward to each and every vendor we have in the market, looking into the solutions and products that are coming into our market for securing the companies. I am very much appreciating the intent here. At the same time, you also wanted to understand where the human element is still required, right? So there are, okay, so that is very difficult to call out because, like I said, AI is changing, right? It's changing every day. But there are certain elements I'm still believing that which AI may not take up. That could be that ethical and legal line where the cybersecurity is touching upon, or it could be that social engineering where the attackers are changing the tactics every day, where ultimately employees have to be aware of what is happening themselves. And whenever there is an AI engine, at least today's architecture says we have to keep fine tuning it. We have to keep improving it. I don't know how the architecture tomorrow will be. Today it is LLM, tomorrow it could be something else. So I can't predict over that, but there are elements in which, there are business decisions that are required, strategic decisions that are required on addressing a threat maybe, or how you're placing certain operations on the business front. There are elements like that still in the human hand where automation have to evolve and catch up, or it may not reach there.
Shwetank?
Yeah, I think Prasad did touched upon most of the major points. But yeah, for me, major thing to automate will be the threat detection and the vulnerability management piece, right? I think that's one of the key things. And I know Vivek has something, a lot of products around it, and Vivek's competitors also have something similar, right? And that's one place which we need to automate. I think Raj did touched upon the speed of really finding the fault, fixing it if there is a vulnerability, right? And it has to be, you cannot have a 24/7 human who's awake and who's really knowing what to do when, right? So it's best these things, if there is a patch management needs to be done, this has to be done automatically. You cannot, rely on a human for that, right? So that's one that comes to my mind from an automation perspective. And then there is this scene piece, right? Security information and event management piece, right? Which is, you can have AI really analyze the vast amounts of data, and it can come from different sources as well, right? Humans can, you can look at one dashboard, figure out things, but AI can now pretty much bring all those dashboards into one place, do correlations, detect, patterns and all, and thereby, it reduces these false positives and ensure the team is pretty much, focused on genuine threats, and these are not like threats that are being called out, but these are false positives. So I think those two things comes in my mind. And then of course the user behavior piece, which Prasad touched upon from an automation perspective, right? If somebody is sending too many external emails, if email access is open, might be this person is about to leave the firm. Right? So those sort of analytics, HR can pretty much run on, we can enable them for that, right? So those sort of things I'm pretty sure we should automate. Now, looking for human intervention, I think decision making, when it's very, very rote type decisions, right? Where you're saying, okay, dispatch has come, can we push it? Yes, we should do it. But the point that Prasad mentioned about the strategic decision making, right? What are the security policies? What are the risk management piece? Overall cybersecurity strategy, what are the products that we need to put in place? Those pieces require human intervention for sure, right? Even to the extent of incident investigations, right? It can provide you a lot of information, but that information, like data, not information, but somebody has to come up with the information out of it, right? And that piece is something which humans and the perceptions that human have, the information, the gathering, the number of years of experience they have spent on something will definitely help. And then last one is on the ethical pieces, right? You the rules regulations change so often. You have an AI module which is like 2022 October. Things have changed in October, May 2023. Now you wanna look at with that lens, and that piece also, the ethical and the legal pieces, is something which comes to my mind as well, which I think Prasad touched upon. So overall there are 3 points which I mentioned about on the automation, and then there are 3 that I think: the strategic decision making, complex incident investigation, and ethical considerations are the ones that comes to my mind.
Lot of areas that can be automated, but yeah, humans very important in all of those 3 areas that you mentioned: the strategy, incident investigation, and the ethical and legal side of it.
And then that's why they always say it's a co-pilot. You will have all the co-pilots. You will never have an autopilot yet.
Can't say, it may come.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, this next question is for Vivek and Prasad. For network defenders, AI and the growing use of cybersecurity mesh architectures provide the opportunity to turn the size and complexity of the digital environment into a potential advantage. Can you explain to us why AI can be more effective in a mesh security architecture? How do they complement each other? What exactly is a mesh security architecture?
So what we are primarily trying to understand here is, let's say, an organization which has adopted a mesh architecture, right, and also adopts AI. What could be the enhanced benefit that it can actually get from cybersecurity standpoint? See,
can you also just explain mesh architecture?
Yeah, I will surely try and do that. So ideally, what we are looking at, potentially what we are looking at is some synergies being built into 2 optimized systems. What are we looking at when we are looking at, say, cybersecurity mesh architecture? I think the concept, we adopted this concept in about 2017. We've been working on it for about 7 years. Gartner, coined this in 2021. Ideally, what we are looking at from mesh architecture perspective is from cybersecurity standpoint, a collaborative ecosystem of tools, right? Primarily to control a modern, digital distributed enterprise, wherein what you are able to, build is the enhanced capabilities for quick detection, enhanced capability of better visibility, enhanced capability of efficient responses, and consistent policies across the entire, infrastructure. You're able to build an ecosystem where you're able to control things and take action very quickly across the infrastructure, whether it's your data center or endpoints or your branches, your edges, or cloud for that matter. So that's primarily what you're trying to build when you build a mesh architecture, all the tools working together, talking to each other per se. Now, let's take the same environment and try and see how we can leverage AI into it and what additional benefit that we'll get out of it. See, AI leveraging a specific tool or a specific data set will have its own benefits. Absolutely, we can always discuss that. But when you leverage AI in such massive infrastructure, look at the massive data sets that it will have. For you to get to a level where the detection can be improved. More the data, better the AI, right? That better the effectiveness of the AI. So you'll get data points from all the vectors, starting from, let's say, from cybersecurity standpoint, from endpoints to your cloud infrastructure, from your applications to your data centers, to your branches, your edges. All of it is pumping in data. So what happens? Your detection speed improves, your detection efficacy improves. Now, when you want to, automate responses, you can do that across the infrastructure leveraging AI. Any which way we can leverage AI, for automating responses. Now you can do that and extend it to the entire environment, including, let's say, you have an OT environment as well. You can do that, extend that to even OT environment. If I try and take some, example, let's say, a threat which is detected in one of the endpoints, which is at a remote location. Now, when AI learns about that threat, picks up that indication of compromise, that IOC can quickly be updated across all the pieces of the entire mesh architecture. You don't need to worry about, one vendor updating it, or second vendor updating it. An IOC can be automatically generated, can be updated across. So that now there's a uniform policy against this specific threat across the infrastructure. I talked about the predictability of the attacks. That improves because now attackers' steps you can learn from different phases of the or different parts of the environment as well. That's also a possibility. So your predictability improves. When you leverage AI for operations, now your response mechanism can be improved because you can extend the controls, you can extend the response activities across the infrastructure. It's not limited to only an endpoint or only a server. So I would say mesh architecture with an AI leverage in a cybersecurity, from a cybersecurity infrastructure perspective, is a win-win, for any cybersecurity operation team.
Prasad?
Okay, so cybersecurity mesh architecture major advantage would be it allows to basically integrate and interoperate across multiple environments with across multiple components. When I say that, you will be able to collect data in a real time from all could be server, VM, network, or any other component that are there in the IT infrastructure. It will be able to collect data from every component and assess and identify the threats in a real time and act upon it. So that's one of the major advantage I have found when we have a cybersecurity mesh architecture in present. So when we have this in place, obviously the infra should be very large. Many cases it will be hybrid. So adaptive response is very important. Business priority wise response is also very important. It is, another threat in the same environment would be the visibility itself, right? The visibility can be brought in by a solution, a cybersecurity solution that can be spread across these environment. Along with the visibility, it brings the IOCs, it brings the vulnerability management, it brings the DLP and multiple other features. Now, there are vendors with various elements of various sectors of cybersecurity being handled. When I say sectors, it could be just vulnerability management piece, it could be just that threat hunting and remediation piece, or it could be DLP kind of situations, or it could be just MFA piece on various elements, various applications, various servers that are there in the architecture. It can be looked into from multiple aspects, but this indeed is a very unique way of looking into a very complex infrastructure and managing it in a very sophisticated fashion with simplicity. The major advantage I can find is the speed in which you find the issues and remediate it, the scale in which you can go, how flexible it is, and a unified security visibility.
Mesh architectures are relatively new, are they, Vivek?
I wouldn't say so. See, this has been as a concept for some time. Many organizations have been, talking about it now. The concept today is primarily called as platformization, where you're saying that you create a platform where multiple tools and ecosystem, pieces can work together. Idea is that you get to a ecosystem wherein you focus on outcomes. How quickly can I detect? How quickly can I take action? So time to detect and time to remediate and time to respond becomes extremely, extremely crucial. And that's why platforms are becoming very, very, important these days.
Is the rise of all these remote devices also a reason for this?
I would say a distributed environment, yes. The way we work now, I think post COVID, of course, there is no in-office environment. It's all hybrid, right? So the controls that you used to have in a four-walled premises and the control that you have on extended workforce is absolutely different. You want to extend the same level of control to that infrastructure as well, and that's the reason why the platform becomes very, very crucial these days.
And just to add there, right? We talked about MTTR, the mean time to respond, but I think there is this MTTI, is the mean time of innocence, right? Where everybody, will always blame the networks, right? Or blame the system, right? So that mean time to innocence is also critical, which is required by all these automations, right? Which, most of the CIOs can now look at this, mesh architecture and drive inferences from it.
Yeah. Very interesting.
One point I'd like to add, if you really talk about before COVID, even the end user perspective, if I really look at our 70-80% services were on-prem, be it patching, vulnerability, all other thing, right? And
Really?
you have direct visibility, you have a very limited scope to, the people can sneak outside. But, if you really talk about today, almost 95% plus, only 4 or 5%, which is something is really necessity to keep it into inside. The 90% infra is either SaaS or outside or cloud. So basically, we have opened the multiple doors. So the moment you are opening a multiple door, it's pretty important to put the security guard at each door so that you should be able to get the feed. So that's how the mesh technology is becoming pretty critical in these days.
Really? Oh, very interesting. Big changes after COVID. Okay.
Just not limited to security. It's also about infra monitoring here. There are a lot to do in that space as well.
Okay. Okay. Shwetank, Raj, I want to ask you this. Of course, everybody is now talking Gen AI. How do you look at Gen AI as a cyber threat? How do you secure your Gen AI projects in your network?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So if you look at the overall, there are two organizations that come under my purview here. You have the CISO organization and you have the CTO organization, right? Those two organizations, and they are at tug of war. Pretty much the CTO will try to give the best to the end users, right? Because that's the requirement coming from there. They will need ChatGPT, like they will need the next gen stuff right now on their desktop, right? That's the user requirement. So CTO will drive that. The CISOs will say, hold on, don't do this, right? Because there are these 15 things that you are now, allowing other people to know about, right? So it appears that the CISO organization will slow down the implementation as security remains paramount, right? But if you look at it, Gen AI can be manipulated as well, right? So there are malicious actors within the Gen AI system, right? So they can create sophisticated phishing attacks. You can have deep fakes. We have heard about it a lot, right? And you can automate the creation of these malwares as well. So the ability of Gen AI to generate realistic and convincing content makes it a potent tool for cyber criminals, right? I think Prasad did touched upon it a bit, right, in the initial introductory discussion, right? Now, if I look at it, how do I secure my Gen AI project? It'll come down to you need to have a very strong governance, risk management, and regulatory compliance piece, the GRC, so to speak, right? Which is very much important for any of the AI solutions that are being going in, right? And I'm a big fan of creating this AI steering co within the organization, where the CISO organization, CTO organization, and the business guys sit together, and define what are the risk management practices they are okay with, right? And this will also require, right? This group is also involved in continuous monitoring, assessment of AI models, what's happening there, and then of course the data security, model security, right? Those two things comes in place. We have been talking about these LLM, right? And we are expecting this LLM is nobody can breach it, but there are poisoning attacks happening within the LLM, right? What will you do that there? I think that's the key piece that we all need to worry about. And at the end of the day, I think there is this human angle. I know we have been very good at saying it's AI, but I think there is this human oversight which is required, and the employee training piece, which is very, very important for us to really, with all the automation that we do, you will need this human angle to really solve for some crucial items that comes your way, right? And of course, regular audits, employee training, right? Employee is the first line of defense, like so to speak, right? They are the ones who are clicking on that email which is having a malware in it, right? How do you make sure that happens? So those things comes, quite important for me. And I think by implementing all these pieces, we will be able to have a better and a secure Gen AI model in the setup. Yeah.
AI committee. Okay. Raj?
Yeah. For me, I keep quoting very often, Gen AI is a very sophisticated latest weapon. Okay. If you don't use it appropriately, you will end up denting yourself. So that's the very simple definition. Yeah, rightly said. If you really talk about in today's world, I mean, everything, every damn thing we are talking about, like, hey, there's a Gen AI component, and I keep meeting the many OEMs and partner very often. Even not a single forum, that forum is going without AI discussion. Okay, so even a damn thing, and I was very shocked to see one of the advertisement of one of the washing machine. Now these days the AI enabled washing machines are coming, so that it can read the pattern that how much your cloth is dirty, and basis on that it can put the water and the washing powder and then all other thing, and it can wash gently, or maybe you need a rough wash or all other thing. So I mean, the way the things are changing, it's pretty important. Like you have to put the very key focus in couple of areas. One is that really. Shwetank very rightly pointed out, like, it's pretty important, like, go back, because everyone is having their own wish list. If you really go back and talk about the business is big fan of this all jazzy thing, they want to get it done. If you really talk about CTO will look at from the technical lens. If you really talk about CIO will look at from different lens. Same is with the CISO. But it's pretty important that, all four need to merge the concept and make sure that, whatever I am deploying, that is safe and secure. So a couple of key pointers, which I feel that is pretty important, like whenever we are getting into that area, that should be deployed, with the proper security, so that, you should not be using the weapon for yourself. So one is that, how securely you are trying to draw a boundary, the perimeter boundary, obviously using latest next generation product of next generation firewall or all the additional control you are talking about. Second thing is that pretty important to have a visibility of what is going in and out. And these days the AI integration, the API call out are so sophisticated, they are going in a so deep level, like, you might be noticing like, hey, this is only two metadata I'm transferring to the cloud, but if you go back and really do a deep dive, you'll find out something else. So it's pretty important that you should have a very sophisticated monitoring method or the visibility, so that you should know really what is going in and out. Okay. Third important portion is the cultural change, because you have to understand, and technology is going to work only well into the organization once your user population, once your organization is basically complementing by introducing the right culture. People should understand what is right or wrong. I mean, these days, it's not something like, hey, someone is sending a fishy email, you are clicking and then you are putting OTP. These are the very normal thing. Every damn person is aware about these attacks. But if you really talk about today, I mean, the attacks even are they're so sophisticated, like, you will be really not able to judge whether it's right or wrong. So it's pretty important, like, if I'm using anything right, really the people should be having a proper awareness, the cultural change. And last thing is that, obviously we have to make sure that, the right set of skill set we have to support. You should not be passing your keyboard to someone else. Then simply you are just watching the situation, and then anything can happen to your organization. So these are the couple of areas which I feel that it's pretty important to address whenever you are getting into this things.
Yeah, awareness, the human element is so important. No, absolutely. I mean, we are talking enterprises here, but even as reporters, I can sense before COVID and all. I mean, cybersecurity was not such a huge thing among our readers generally, or the kind of reports that our crime reporters would bring. But now, in the last few years, my God, the number of online crime, these kind of activities that are happening is just phenomenal. The amount of money people are losing, all of that is just crazy.
Yeah, you might get a mobile call, right? And you're like, what the heck is this, right? And it'll appear completely natural.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
you'll have a FedEx guy on the other side, and you were like, is it FedEx? And I was like, how can a FedEx directly transfer to the customs department? I'm like, somehow it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make so.
No,
To the point that Raj
Yeah.
was mentioning. Yeah,
there's
that
so
point.
many
Very,
risks in
very,
some of these things.
they're very innovative these days. They're extremely innovative.
Just to add one point on our AI security part, along with security, privacy is also one of the most important things that are coming out, very standing out, at least in the very recent past in India. Outside India, we've been there very long, right? With the DPDP in India and GDPR, which is already there in Europe, and every other country have different ones. Saudi have come with PDPL, Indonesia PDPA. There is a privacy law and act that are every country coming out with very recently or in the past is not being given importance when we are designing the AI solutions at large, right? So many people's data are required in the data lake while processing the characteristics of people purchase or marketing and different things. So that is going to be one element that everybody will have to look into while consuming AI, the privacy part of the story.
Very, very important point, Prasad, and I can add a very practical flavor to it. Okay.
Oh, great.
Because if you really talk about, these days, any organization, talking about deploying any GenAI solutions, what they are talking about, even they don't know what is the technical requirement. Okay. Because they don't know, normally they will ask IT folks like, hey, can you guys give me a very open environment so that I can integrate and make it working? And as soon as they are able to make it working, then they silently they will go live, and then they say, hey guys, don't stop anything now. Okay, now my tool is live. I'm able to give a very expected outcome. I'm able to deliver the result. Now you as an IT person, now you'll looks like a fool. Hey, man, you told me something else during the initial stage. Now you are live with the half of the story, and there are so many vulnerabilities that are already there. Now that's the reality. Business is list worried, as a CTO, as a CIO, as a CISO, what is open for them, the future is working. But if you really go back and do a deep dive in such kind of situation, you will find out there are so many open vulnerabilities, and with that, the tools are going live. I think you brought up a very good point. It's pretty important, like going live should not be the only end outcome. Really, you have to go back and do this penetration testing and validate it, because you might be able to deliver one of the business outcome, but what if, because of the vulnerability, if some bad guy is getting into that, and if you're able to take your organization data out, after that, you can imagine the kind of dent you can have for your organization. So that's the big thing. I think certainly the people should think.
To that point, Raj, like the entire CISO organization, that's what I say, right? CISOs will always slow down this. Right? They will appear like Rex, but they are the ones who are really, risk is the only thing they are thinking. So in my head, like the CISO organization, when they come to me, I'm like, yeah, I hear you, right? And I'm more than happy to talk to them more and more. And at times the CTO organization will always say, what the heck, don't do this.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so Let's look at data now. AI and ML are fueled by data, and the more data they have to train on and work with, the more effective they are. Uh, since AI is only as effective as the amount of data ingested, the number of nodes, accuracy of analysis, and threat intelligence that go into the technology. So, what should a CISO look for while choosing an AI solution? Vivek, Shwetank, who wants to go first? Vivek?
Okay, so see, as Raj was saying, right, when it comes to AI solution, I think the first and foremost piece that I would say is, the definition of the problem. What are you trying to solve? That's the most important piece, and then only you can start working on, what kind of data sets you would need, what kind of AI techniques you would need. Once you have got down to the, piece of, very clearly that this is the problem that we are trying to solve. For example, let's take cybersecurity, for instance. You want to leverage AI for detection. You want to leverage AI to solve your skill set problems. You want to leverage AI, primarily to, predict and, control the users' behavior inside the environment. All of it has to be listed down first. When you start looking at the AI solution, try and understand what AI techniques are we looking at. How the data will be ingested. What are the mitigation mechanisms available to us in case if we are seeing some data poisoning activities. If the models are getting tampered, what can we do about it? How do you ensure the data feed quality is kind of maintained? That's very important piece. If we bring it down to cybersecurity environment per se, I would say there are 3-4 points that one should very clearly look at. One is the quality and the sources of data feed. Can you look at varied data sets to be fed into this AI, infrastructure that you are building? Because from cybersecurity standpoint, it's not going to be one tool; it's going to be multiple different tools, which are very crucial for your environment. How can you bring in more and more threat intel into it? How can you, ingest real-time, cross-infrastructural, security, non-security events? Does the tool give you enough, creativity, liberty? Can you create your own use cases? Does it give you to create your own liberty to create your own playbooks and runbooks within that? I think LLM, NLM, integration is something that's very important from users, perspective. Then I would also say that AI should also help you build kind of assistance workflows if you want to leverage that in cybersecurity standpoint. So these are the few things that kind of come to my mind per se. There are, of course, security considerations around privacy that both Raj and Prasad talked about. That when you look at the data feeds, how do you ensure that privacy is still maintained, and what safeguards do you have? Whether you want to create a separate container for the data feeds that are coming to it. Those security pieces are also to be looked into it.
Shwetank?
Yeah, I mean, to add to Vivek's point, right? Data is important. Data is the king, right? We need to make sure it's a garbage in, garbage out sort of a setup, right? And that's the cliche that we always use whenever we talk about AI, right? I think with the data, the accuracy of analysis, right? I think that comes to my mind. That's very critical, right? The models have to be used, reused, tested so many times that and it has to be tested against multiple data sets, to Vivek's point. To that extent, then you try to break the model, right? And see where it breaks, right? So that level of thing is there. And like hallucinations in AI model is something which is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like I was reading some reports, like one of the best model is with OpenAI, right? They still have the lowest rate of hallucination, like around 3%. Meta has 5%, right? So if you look at it, right, you will have to be, very conscious of the accuracy of the analysis. I think that comes to my mind for sure. And then, I am somebody who will always have a skeptical view of what AI will do. The more we automate data analytics, the more work is required by human beings to cover the edge cases. What are the edge cases? And that's a lot of times we'll have to spend a lot of time. So that human angle will come into picture, right? And that's required for providing high level security, putting the meaning to the insights, so to speak, right? And then it becomes more, as I said, human element is paramount in this. And like the third thing that comes to my mind is like the support from the vendor partners that we have, right? How well equipped they are for this sort of a thing, right? We need to have, again, uh, with what's happening in the cloud world, everybody is getting breached one way or the other in the past so many months, right? So the reputation is something that we should look at, but then I'm seeing everybody's reputation is getting tarnished one way or the other, right, in the past year or so. But like, I think that's something to look out from a CISO perspective, that, I will definitely have my CISO to really look at where is the vendor roadmap, the Gartner pieces, where are they? Who are the challengers? Who are the niche players? So that's the other one that comes to my mind.
Okay, so decide where you want to apply AI and then figure out the data that you need, ensure the good data, test your models, retest it, all of that, very important. So you're saying hallucinations occur even in this kind of a scenario, is it? Where in the cybersecurity, what? It'll tell you that might be a threat here, even though there is no threat.
False positives. Yeah, false positives are all
those kinds of things.
So, and that's where, right? And that's what I talked about, this entire human oversight, right? The more you automate, the more work it is for human to really now find the edge cases which will make it. Is it 1%? Fine. But like, we need to be aware of what we know, right? That's where it is.
Prasad, Raj, I mean, of course, Shwetank, just, sorry.
Yeah, one of the key point, if you really talk about these days, the attackers are very, very sophisticated, I mean, earlier the pattern was like, as soon as, someone is getting access of your device or infra, they will go ahead and try to act fast so that, before someone is going ahead and cutting the leg, they'll go ahead and do something immediately. Because these days, we have seen and, I was part of the couple of panel discussion and the webinars where, and we have experienced it, with various organizations where the attackers are there silently, they're watching your infrastructure for a couple of months. They are just trying to waiting for the right moment. So that, as soon as they're able to sneak each corner of your data access, database, application, till the time they will behave like a normal user. As soon as they are able to hold your neck, and one day they will behave erratic, and then after that, you're gone. So the attack pattern itself is changing.
It's changing.
And whatever the key USP you are using as a consumer to enhance your business, trust me, the same USPs they are using to do it negatively. Then you are always, behind them. So that's how these days, they are behaving.
Getting really clever. Yeah, Shwetank already mentioned cloud being quite vulnerable. I mean, so Prasad and Raj, tell us how is AI helping in securing cloud applications and balancing user needs and security?
So cloud infrastructure has been like growing for a while now. Now it has reached a stage where organizations are struggling to identify the assets across the multiple clouds they have. Sometimes it's hybrid as well, right? So that is where the visibility, log management, and from the log you need to identify the anomalies, identify the security threats. These are becoming a big challenge for most of the OEM products as well. So AI and automation, majorly the AI, who is what can help us here, because there's a very large amount of data. Now you need to look into every different cloud environment's security posture differently, because every cloud infrastructure has come with their own terminologies, their own way of implementation, their own way of looking into the pass models. Like it could be authentication layer, it could be firewalls, it could be how you expose a database from the cloud environment, or it could be how they implemented Kubernetes. Everything is quite different today across multiple cloud environment, though there are similarities, though there are differences, right? So from security point of view, when you look at a cloud environment, you need to have a OEM based solution which is cloud environment agnostic, which understand your cloud workloads and the complexities of various architectures that we have, including mesh, to get that full visibility, to understand the logs, to understand the user behavior anomalies, sometimes the application to application traffic anomalies, which machine is interacting with which machine for what. So how deep you go based on what you can get as information, we will be able to identify threats faster. Like I was telling earlier, the problem here is now there are cloud specific hacking tools, which are again AI based, right? So you mentioned some time back saying after COVID, we started seeing hackings more. That's primarily backed by automation. That's primarily backed by AI. Gen AI has helped them a lot, right? And COVID era made all these people educated, also more educated in fact, right? From that perspective, we need more and more AI to protect our cloud environment and the hybrid environment, which is context aware, which can preempt the attacks that are happening on these particular environments before it actually happens.
Yeah. Yeah, if you really talk about the cloud perspective, I think, yeah, this is the new reality, and then every organization is having a big bang approach. That's a separate story. Like, a few people started doing the reverse migration, but still adoption of cloud is very high. And obviously, the organization, they are trying to get away from certain things, like, they do not want to stick to the CapEx model, all other thing, and then have on-prem manageability. These are the couple of things, but certainly the way things are opened up and once you move to the cloud, don't look at only the cloud thing. Like, there are so many SaaS applications in today's world. And if you go back and really talk about an organization, I'm sure each one of you, whatever the machine, you must be having 10 SaaS applications working on your machine. So it's kind of, again, another area where, you have to watch. And end of the day, those all, tenants are talking to your cloud services. AD is talking to Okta, Okta is talking to SailPoint, SailPoint is talking to your CrowdStrike. All the things are, they are communicating with each other. And you, that's the need of our where you have to go back and open. Okay. Imagine that, the kind of mesh infra you have. If you really take a traditional approach, it's humanly not possible that someone can go ahead and start having the visibility of the each dots, right? So one point of time, you have to have a very a smarter solution, which is something obviously supported by AI, reading the pattern, understanding the behavior of the user. In past, we have seen with the various other organizations who were attacked, like, the attackers were acting like a normal user into the system. That's a separate story. Like, those people were hopping from one to another and then trying to get the data as soon as, they got the privileged access. So really, a human alone cannot, sit the 1,000 lines of log, which is something throwing to your QRadar or any logging system, and then trying to predict the action out of it. Then what is the plan? The plan is that, automation versus human cannot fight each other and you cannot win the game. Then end of the day, you have to have a smarter solution, which you can really go ahead and start creating the pattern out of it. And then basis on the pattern, basis on your the organization priority or the kind of access you have open, you define the action. Basis on that action can be automated or manual. Okay. And obviously, it's always recommended that, such sort of things can be automated so that, you can take a real-time action. So those are the things basically needed. And obviously, none other than GenAI can go ahead and achieve this one. Maybe if you really talk about the cloud story, there are so many components in these days. Like, you may take a help of create a score card for each of the services, whatever you're doing. And that scorecard can be defined basis on the certain KPIs, which you feel that, is right for your organization from security perspective. And then basis on that, you can run some sort of LLM or maybe some managed service tools. There are tons of things are available into the market. And basis on that, you can enhance your security specifically into the cloud services or the SaaS platform, and then you can secure infrastructure. So that's how I feel that, maybe we should be leveraging the GenAI very heavily to have a better control on these things.
Leverage GenAI very heavily for this. Okay.
Shwetank, Prasad, let's look at the cybersecurity skill gap. I'm sure a lot of listeners will also be interested. The cybersecurity sector faces significant skill gap, approaching 4 million professionals Now, Gen AI tackles this challenge by augmenting the need for technical proficiency. It also supports and guides individuals, regardless of expertise, to engage using natural language to investigate and remediate threats faster than ever before. So, what kind of benefits can Gen AI integrate into your cybersecurity strategy and reduce this impact of this massive skill gap?
So, yeah, so let me start off. So this is again a very much evolving space where now we have natural NLP out with most of the tools which can interact. The people, whatever 3-4 member team was sitting and monitoring and recording and identifying as a security threat can be completely automated today, right? We can have a Gen AI chatbot monitoring the threads and calling you on your phone when there is a issue and the first person is not picking, the second person get the call, and that goes in a ladder, right, until the topmost senior leadership. So many of these SOC monitoring activities are getting converted, but not fully. It's just the beginning of the game, is what I'm believing. And second activity is in cybersecurity space, whichever tool we pick, it could be DLP, could be SOC, it could be many of the ASM tools or anything else. There is a lot of alert fatigue. So these tools are identifying alerts, and there's a lot of false positives among them, right? And it is a very human activity right now to prioritize it based on the business priority, prioritize based on the strategy of the organization and the direction of the organization, and understand what is the critical issue. It's just not a technical angle to it, right? There is multiple ways of looking into a cybersecurity issue when it happens. If it is just a test machine which is going to go out in next 1 week versus a production machine which is delivering 1,000 crores of revenue for this current quarter, there's a big difference in which in which we have to look into a security threat. So the problem here is the tools and automation can do things faster and human are not able to. So the skill gap can be managed by automation, but automation is also evolving today. So it will reach in a day. I mean, after some time, we can hear that in cybersecurity space, we don't need people sitting and monitoring in front of the screen. We don't need people for prioritizing the activities across SOC operations. And now it talks to people using NLP, and senior leadership can get summary of the entire quarter when it comes to the cybersecurity operations. And when there is a war room actually being conducted after a cybersecurity alert, there could be an AI bot sitting and giving us all that is required and taking us out of the cybersecurity incident that we have in hand. So when it reaches there, yeah, the skill gap can be covered to a great level. But today, we are not able to, primarily because from any layer, right? So there's one more point I need to bring out. So sometimes it's easy to get that layer of the VAPTs and the initial layer of cybersecurity covered in a organizational SOC team or a cybersecurity team. But when it comes to looking at cybersecurity from a strategy point of view, many a times it is difficult to get that leadership skills or the skills set people in the industry. That is also an area where organizations are struggling in today's world. So, but I'm really looking forward. I'm not able to predict how AI will evolve. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the evolution.
Shwetank, you think can you predict better? And by the way, these false positives, the both of you mentioned, you also mentioned earlier, Prasad also mentioned, a lot of false positives. Why does that happen? A lot of unusual things keep happening, is it?
It's, I mean, in many cases, we will look at the situations. Or I'll give you an example. It could be like somebody, a developer logging into a Linux machine 5 times for his operations, or sometimes he himself might become root. It could be a test machine where we are not so much relevant. But for a cybersecurity SOC machine, that is a that is a signal for a cyber attack.
Could be going wrong. Okay.
What could be going wrong? Or it could be that your system reported for a maintenance. I mean, I'm just giving you cases in which it can happen based on how good your AI implementation is at the SOC solution. Number of false positives will be reducing, right? So this is also a game that most of the OEMs are fighting in the market today to reduce the alerts, right? They are all in the game right now. I'm looking forward. I don't want to comment against any particular solution here, but I am seeing the improvement that are happening across the industry compared to what it was 5 years back towards what it is today.
Okay, Shwetank?
Yeah, means I think to add, right? I think few things from a skill set perspective, right? Things that can be done by a GPU, CPU, I think those are the things that we should definitely use, right? So predictive analysis, automated responses, what I think Prasad was talking about. And then the phishing detection and prevention comes to my mind, right? There is like you can get the way we were talking about alert fatigue, there is always this email fatigue as well, right? You're getting so many emails, somebody is spam bombing you pretty much, right? With so many emails, and you're missing the actual email that is in place, right? So you can deploy a spam bombing filter for the entire org, and that's it. Like there is, the jury is out there, right? You will implement a spam bombing, and you'll be much better off. But of course, spam bombing folks will figure out that filter and will try to again enter through a different channel, right? So those two things comes to my mind, and then of course the simulation pieces, more analytical there, right? Where you're talking about threat simulation and training, right? So Gen AI can simulate those advanced attack scenarios, provide realistic, dynamic, right, training environments, right, for cybersec folks, right? Yeah, if you look at it, the way I think Raj talked about it, right? Somebody enters into the system now, and they are just sitting it for the next 2 months, and then they will attack once. You are vulnerable, right? The question is, have we simulated that sort of an attack already? And what prep was done by the leadership team? If this happens, what is your playbook? That is very critical, right? And that's something that I think, that's a gap that remains, right? Not anybody can do it, right?
So if I may take just 30 seconds here, Sujit, on the skill set side, see, one is that you solve the skill set problem. The second piece is also how do you assist the existing skill set to do their job more efficiently, faster, build that speed for them, right? A very simple example I'll give you from, let's say, Fortinet Technologies perspective, the virtual and, assistants that we have on our security operation tool. A typical investigator or typical security operation team members can just quickly, ask the AI to do the event analysis and quickly search for other things for them. Suggest a run book, a playbook that can be quickly implemented. So what you're doing is you're actually saving time for him so that he can focus on more and more, things. So not only that you are, to some extent solving a skill set problem, but you're also, helping the current skill set to operate better.
Yeah, got it.
And one more point I would like to add on top of it, like, whatever the solution you implement to keep your infrastructure secure, all other thing, one point of time, I think organization should have plan B. What if whatever the best breed you have implemented is still you are compromised? So what's your plan B? So that is something, if any partner or any solution, which is something they are taking a guarantee, like, hey, go ahead, install my system. After that, you're secure. I think they are fooling you simply. So have a plan B also. What if tomorrow I'm compromised? What is my plan B? How am I going to recover my organization? How am I going to recover my critical services? How am I going to provide the services to my ESLs? So that's pretty important. I think, after having these so many AI buzzword, opening your multiple doors to the organization, I think this is the reality. And whosoever is not realizing, I think they are behind it.
You need a plan B. I know we are out of time, but Vivek, just one last question to you. India is a leader in developing AI solutions across digital platforms, and we're seeing a lot of companies working on all of this. Well, what kind of research is happening in the area of AI in cybersecurity?
See, I was there last couple of days attending India Mobile Congress as well, where Prime Minister spoke, Minister of Communication spoke, and all of those had a lot of talk about AI and helping startups getting more into AI R&D and all. I think from India, if you look at we have been a global talent hub, and the similar piece is what we are seeing in AI side as well. And this is something that I think government also has, kind of realized. If you actually get into, you see the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Committee, which is their advisory council that is there. Out of the 9 missions that they have, one is actually AI. And, almost at the same level of EV or biodiversity for that matter. There is a national AI portal, India AI. So if you're working as a industry, segment getting into AI, you can actually, to get some help there as well. But typically, let me talk about the cybersecurity standpoint on what we are seeing from AI. I think there are a lot of small startups, who are actually working on the AI functionalities onto cybersecurity solutions. Not a pure play AI-based solution from cybersecurity. Similarly, what we are seeing is some of the GCC's capability, which are being built here in India, are primarily on AI development for the larger businesses. I'll give you an example for Fortinet for that matter, right? Our Bangalore R&D center, works on something called as Forti AI Ops. It's a solution which is primarily built on entire AI. The entire R&D is here in Bangalore for that. Primarily, what we do there is, we use artificial intelligence, which can help customers quickly collect data from the networks and identify the anomalies and take action on it. So that's the solution, completely based out of India. The entire R&D team on that AI piece is in India. Our Pune R&D center, that which works on the security orchestration and automation tools. There again, when it comes to automation and orchestration, a lot of AI capabilities that again is being built out of Pune R&D center. Similarly, from threat intel perspective, that team is also based out of Pune. We are leveraging the talent available here in India, to build that piece, because threat intel is a very, very crucial aspect of AI feed. So this is the work that we are doing. I think there are a lot of other vendors who also have their India-based units which are working on AI functionalities as well. But there are a lot of pure play AI startups which are there in India right now.
No, so good to hear that a lot of these solutions are coming out of India now. I know we are well beyond time. Quickly, 15 seconds each for each. Your advice to other enterprises on using AI for cybersecurity. Prasad, you want to start?
Okay, so yeah, it is important to catch up with what is moving in the cybersecurity space, else we'll be left out. So, urging every organization to get on to AI-based threat hunting and remediation, and looking into the overall cybersecurity management. When I say cybersecurity management, that includes so many things out there. So, what I'm looking forward to when I'm looking into the future is what Hollywood movies and Bollywood movies have taught us when it comes to AI. The world in which there's no difference between human and the AI bots or AI, whatever we call it. That will be the era in which we will say there is no difference between what human can do and what automation can do, and automation is faster. So we are on the way, but it's very important for everybody to stand along, every organization to move along, else the advisories or hackers will get it faster than us. So let's move along.
Get on to AI quickly. Raj?
Yeah, I think AI is unavoidable. Every piece of it, you are having a dependency, and that's the new world. And we have to go ahead with that. The only piece of advice from my side is that, don't try to get into the rat race. If you really have a genuine business requirement, then try to find out and have a right tool for that. If you're the moment you have identified the right tool, deploy it rightly. If you have deployed it rightly, please consume it rightly. And if you're consuming it rightly, then start getting the right business outcome. So that's how it's going to work. So try to keep the infrastructure pretty important, secure, because for you delivering the business outcome is pretty critical. But same time, keeping your infrastructure secure is equally important. So that's the advice from my side.
Identify clear areas. okay, and implement it well. Shwetank?
Yeah, I think I'm based out of Bangalore, so weather is one thing which really comes up every time in any conversation when you're talking to a person in Bangalore for 20 years, right? So it's the same way, right? You can have AI is pretty much, it will enhance the cybersecurity, but it will act like a warning system, right? But it will not, completely weather the storm of the cyber attacks, right? And on top of it, let's be very, very clear, human oversight and intervention remains essential, right? Otherwise, you cannot leave it, don't leave it on autopilot yet. I know some of us don't agree, but yeah, don't leave it on autopilot yet. Still, let it be a co-pilot with you.
Let it be a co-pilot. Human oversight is important. Vivek?
See, there are two views to AI in cybersecurity, right? One is, of course, the way adversaries are leveraging it. But I think the benefits that are there for defenders because of the data sets which are available to us, the way we can leverage it, are far greater. So I'm all for AI adoption in cybersecurity.
Okay, the data that is available is far superior to what the attackers have. So we can use AI to far better defend ourselves. Oh, great. Thanks so much for a very insightful discussion. Really nice having all of you on the platform. Prasad, Raj, Shwetank, Vivek. Hope to see you again some other time. I'm sure it's an ongoing conversation and we'll hear a lot more about AI in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye.